Welcome back to the Real News Network. We're talking to Elaine Bernard about trade unions, the economic crisis, and the United States. Thanks for joining us. So we left off in the last segment talking about the Employee Free Choice Act, which is going to be working its way through Congress. President Obama said he was going to sign off on it. On the other hand, we haven't heard much about it from President Obama or from the leadership of the Democratic Party since they took power. But the trade unions find this piece of legislation of extreme importance. SEIU and a lot of other unions are putting a lot of money into an advertising campaign. And in fact, here's a little piece of one of their commercials.
The truth is, the Employee Free Choice Act absolutely protects workers' right to choose a secret ballot election. But the choice would be the workers, not their bosses. That's the secret big business doesn't want you to know.
So Elaine, what is this legislation about? Why is it needed in the eyes of the trade unions? And do you think it will make much of a difference?
I think a big part of the deunionization in the United States is about labor law. Our labor law just hasn't kept up with changes in the economy, and the difference between the public sector and the private sector, unionization rate, private sector 7.6%, public sector 36%, is about labor law. Well, what's different? One is, in many states in the public sector, the workers get to choose whether or not to have a vote as a way of demonstrating majority union support, or whether to do card check authorization.
So what is card check?
It's basically just members sign an authorization card.
51% of people sign the card.
Then
prove that then you get a union.
Yeah, you've proven that a majority wish to collectively bargain. So the Employee Free Choice Act will allow employees to decide.
Well, the American Chamber of Commerce has waged a big campaign saying essentially that this act will take away people's right to choose. They say the secret ballot process that now exists in the factories is much fairer because it's a secret ballot, and this takes it away.
The big labor unions are working overtime in Washington, lobbying for a dangerous new bill. They're plotting with members of Congress to strip workers of the fundamental protection of a private vote in union organizing elections, just to grow their membership. They call it the Employee Free Choice Act, also known as Card Check. But in fact, it's more like the Employee Forced Choice Act, because it takes free choice away.
What do you make of that argument?
Yeah, I don't buy it. The employer gets to choose. The employer basically decides that it has to be a ballot. With the Employee Free Choice Act, the workers will be able to decide. If a majority of them sign a union authorization card, then they get recognition. If they don't want that, then they simply have to, majority not sign cards.
If I understand it correctly, workers can decide whether they want a secret ballot vote or not.
Yes.
But what's wrong with a secret ballot vote? Why are unions saying that this isn't fair?
Well, because the union elections, authorization elections that currently take place on the National Labor Relations Board can take 45, 60 days. The type of election that takes place around unionization, we would never certify it in any other environment. Only one side gets to speak to the workers, that is the employer.
What does that mean?
The union does not have access to the workforce.
So the employer can hold meetings on a factory floor, the union can't.
Right. Well, and in fact, the union does not have access to the workforce, period. You know, there's all sorts of court decisions that basically say the union can't, enter the workplace, they can't meet with the employees, they, can't even stand in the parking lot and hand out leaflets, So it's also, the process is so acrimonious, so drawn out, that it really does not reflect people's opinion. In the United States, we've had polls for many years, and the question is always asked in more or less in the same way. If an election of non-union workers were held tomorrow to decide whether your workplace would have a union, would you vote yes or no? And very interesting, over the last few years, a majority, 53%, have now said they would vote yes. That reflects a growing desire for unionization with huge barriers right now, which is the law. It's very difficult to unionize in America.
Take the other side of that, at 53% yes, what about all the workers that are saying no? It would seem a no-brainer if you compare unionized wages to non-unionized wages and benefits and such. unionized workers are in a far better off position than non-unionized workers. Why would over, was it 43% of workers say they would say no?
Well, it's actually now down about 25, 26% who would say no in these polls, because there's a lot who say, I don't know, which is, why, generally any union organizing campaign is a discussion.
And how much has this got to do with the fear factor? And is there any polling on that?
I would say the vast majority of people know, if they try to organize, that the employer will do everything within their power to prevent it, which, is not the law. The law is that, workers should have the right to collectively bargain.
Well, in the next segment of our interview, let's discuss why are employers fighting so vigorously against unionization, and why is the situation so different in the U.S. than in Canada and Europe. Please join us for the next segment of our interview with Elaine Bernard. There are times when reality just asserts itself, in spite of the haze created by television news and entertainment. Sometimes crisis rips a tear in the fabric of myth and propaganda. Now a profound economic crisis has ripped asunder the American dream itself. Millions of people losing jobs and homes. They lack proper health care and any real sense of security. Since 2001, workers' wages have fallen or remained stagnant, even though worker productivity has risen almost 33%. By 2006, the top 1% of households were receiving 23% of all pre-tax income, more than double what it was in the 1970s. It's the greatest concentration of income since 1928. As unemployment rises, we need to know why this crisis is happening and what we can do to defend ourselves. Why are wages so low? Why is the society so laden with debt? Is it in ordinary Americans' interest to have a $1 trillion military budget to project power across the globe? Corporate television news won't ask these questions, let alone try to find answers. Only a truly independent news network can tackle these questions with courage and with ordinary people's interests in mind. We need a news network that's independent of corporations, governments, and political parties. We need the real news. But there won't be a real news network unless we raise substantial funds right away. The current financial crisis has hit our funding hard. Together, we do have the power to turn it around. There are already hundreds of thousands of people watching the real news every month. If everyone pitches in, we can build an internet and cable television network that will change the face of media forever. You can organize house parties, talk to friends at school and at work, send email blasts and spread the word. Distribute this video to everyone you know. Pick up the phone and call a few friends and suggest they visit therealnews.com. Invest just 10 minutes a day to ask friends and colleagues to join the campaign to create a truly independent source of internet and television news. Together, we can build this network. Just 50,000 people at $10 a month gets us to our first level of sustainability. You can help us reach this goal, and when we do, we'll move to television in millions of homes across North America. Help us reach an audience in the millions. Please contribute generously. Spread the word. Let's make the Real News television network a reality.
Your tax-deductible donation makes it possible. Please contribute at therealnews.com.